last episode, we learned about the true nature of Dr. Wrang, but that's not the whole story. A second mysterious individual was working behind the scenes, and it's a certainty that without their involvement, Grathwrangs would never have been possible. Mr. Edwin C. Grath is an enigma. Information about this individual is limited, and it appears governments both domestic and international have gone to significant lengths to conceal the origin of the Grath in Grathwrang.
If the truth about Grath was released to the public, there'd be panic in the streets. I will not divulge the origins of Grath for this interview. He exists. He invented Grath juice, which led to the discovery of Wrang juice. Both are required for a fully functioning Grathwrang. He's absolutely integral to the project.
So the project is still ongoing?
This interview's over.
Simple confirmation that the individual exists is all our investigators needed to proceed. They traveled to an abandoned log cabin that is seated along the Yukon-Alaskan border. It's supposedly the home of Edwin C. Grath. But on arrival, they discovered something disturbing.
The house emits extremely high concentrations of Wrang rays despite the fact that Grathwrangs cannot survive temperatures below negative 20 degrees Celsius for longer than 2 or 3 weeks.
Investigators were unable to spend much time within the cabin, but were able to retrieve documents that tied the cabin and Mr. Grath to the Roswell incident.
We were there for information about the family or birthplace or anything about Edwin Grath, but instead we found strange drawings of bizarre vehicles, seemingly designed for interplanetary flight.
Our laboratory analysis, based on the material itself, shows that the documents were created in the late 1940s and originated from either of one of 2 state government offices, one located in New Jersey, the other, New Mexico. Roswell, New Mexico.
It's becoming more and more clear. Either Edwin Grath is in contact with extraterrestrial beings, or he is one himself.
It seems likely that Grathwrangs contain or utilize interplanetary technology, but for what purpose?
We also found something particularly interesting. A blueprint for a massive piece of lab equipment that only seemed to manufacture some kind of juice.
That juice? Grath juice. An essential component in the creation of Grathwrangs. But how exactly were the materials gathered to create the juice, and why was it necessary at all? We'll find out after this message from our sponsor. From the makers of Circle with a rectangle on top comes the all-new Triangle with a hexagon nearby. Enjoy the peace and tranquility of Triangle with a hexagon nearby the pool, at the beach, at the park, or with your family. Let it set you free. Subscriptions to Triangle with a hexagon nearby are limited. Call now to start experiencing the freedom of Triangle with a hexagon nearby. Please note, Triangle with a hexagon nearby is not guaranteed to provide peace, tranquility, or freedom and will not be held responsible for any permanent scarring or disfigurement. Triangle with a hexagon nearby is not intended for children, seniors, women, men, cats, dogs, or other small creatures. Keep sealed at all times. Triangle with a hexagon nearby. Geometry is tranquility. Although they can be near impossible to spot, Grathwrangs have been present and involved with some of the most key events in history, from the signing of armistice that ended the Korean War. To the first appearance of the Beatles on The Ed Sullivan Show. And even the falling of the Berlin Wall. It's undeniable that all of society benefits from the existence of Grathwrangs. But back to the mysterious figure known as Edwin C. Grath. How did he and Dr. Wrang meet?
Back when Dr. Wrang first began hiring, no one had even heard of Grath. We didn't even know he was part of the project at all until one day he came storming in furiously and began screaming at all the scientists, calling them beasts and saying they had no right to handle his work. He even shoved one scientist to the ground while he was transporting a juice beaker, spilling Wrang juice all over his crotch, which, of course, melted his penis and disfigured him for life.
Our investigators were able to discover from one of Dr. Wrang's recovered journals that the incident had occurred because Grath had remained in self-isolation for over 5 years and was upset at the quality of materials he was being supplied with for his work, finally prompting the outburst.
We knew the work we were doing was important, so we persevered through the poor conditions. Yeah, I may hate the little bastards, but I know they're important. I know our society needs them. That's why I stayed. That's why we all did. I just don't understand why they're being culled and harvested. We created them to be peaceful. The military wants them as weapons. For war.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for this week. If you notice any Grathwrangs in your area, be sure to contact the number shown on the screen now. We'll be back next week to continue What is a Grath?